Hello and welcome to today's Tropical Atlantic Marine Weather Briefing for Sunday, June 22nd. No significant hazards are expected across the Atlantic Basin this week. The two areas that we will be watching are some strong winds and rough seas across the central Caribbean early this week that will expand westward with time, as well as some rough seas in the tropical Atlantic early this week that will diminish as we progress through the week. Things have been mostly quiet in the tropics, but we do have one system that we are monitoring off to the east of Bermuda. It's a little to the north of our area, north of 30 north, but it is a weak low pressure system about 450 miles to the east of Bermuda. Some slow development is possible in the next day or so as it moves to the northeast, further away from our area. It will have no threat to land, but does have about a 20% chance of some tropical or subtropical formation in the next 48 hours. By Monday night, though, it will reach some colder waters and unfavorable upper level winds, and the chance of development will end. Here's a look at today's conditions, and you'll note the weak low pressure system just to the north of our area on the map here. You'll also notice the strong winds across the south central Caribbean, and on the right side of the screen, you'll notice the rough seas across a large portion of the tropical Atlantic to the east of the Lesser Antilles. These are the main features on the map, and really as we go through the next few maps, there won't be a lot of change. Here's the forecast for Monday, and you'll see our low pressure to the east of Bermuda beginning to move to the northeast. That's what we'll be watching for a little bit of tropical development potential. The areas of strong winds across the central Caribbean, and then the rough seas off to the east of the Lesser Antilles. For Tuesday, much of the same with strong winds over the central Caribbean. The seas are beginning to become a little bit less rough off to the east of the Lesser Antilles, but still some 8 to 10-foot seas. And the low pressure that is off to the east of Bermuda will be weakening and moving off to the northeast. Whatever development that happens between now and Tuesday will likely to have ended by that point. By Wednesday, midweek, you'll see the strong winds continuing over the central Caribbean, beginning to spread a little bit more toward the western Caribbean as well, with the associated rough seas continuing over that portion of the waters. The rough seas continue to decay a bit, but still remain over 8 feet just to the east of the Lesser Antilles. And whatever is left of the low pressure to the east of Bermuda will be basically gone by Wednesday. By Thursday, the strong winds have pushed into the western Caribbean as well, but continue in the central Caribbean with the 8 to 11-foot seas in the same area as the strong winds, and then a pretty broad area of 7 to 8, some 9-foot seas to the east of the Lesser Antilles. The rest of the waters are pretty quiet, pretty tranquil conditions across the vast majority of area waters. Finally, as we head on into Friday, still things remaining pretty much the same with no major changes in the pattern. Strong winds across the central and western northwestern Caribbean with the rough seas in the same general area, and then the 7 to 9-foot rough seas across the tropical Atlantic to the east of the island. So in conclusion, mariners should have a pretty quiet week weather-wise ahead, with the main areas to watch out for pretty typical for this time of year: strong easterly winds and rough seas in the central Caribbean throughout the week, with the latter portions of the week, those conditions spreading into the western Caribbean. And early week rough seas east of the Lesser Antilles that will improve somewhat for the latter half of the week. Thanks for listening in to today's weather briefing. We'll have your next briefing online by Thursday, June 26th before 6 p.m. Eastern Time.